Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about my summer writing setup here. Some hacks and tweaks that I've employed to get a few things done on a few projects that I'm working on. I did a little blog post here on Tuesday where I pulled out some nice little snippets from my Emacs configuration that are specifically geared toward writing and making the process a little sweeter. And as we go on here, we'll talk about how you may not always want to optimize everything in your workflow. There are some things you might want to strategically leave a little unoptimized, but we'll get into that in a few moments here. So one of the big hacks that I didn't really mention in the blog post, but I've been getting a lot of use out of, was indent mode in org mode. Org indent mode, I believe, is the technical mode name for it. And what it does here is, you'll notice I have these hierarchical lists, and lists are a lot of fun to work with in org mode because you can move them around and do all these kinds of things here. If you like to do hierarchical lists, which are really good for outlining your thoughts if you're going to be writing something, or if you were working on a project, or even planning for a trip or an event or something, it's really good to lay things out this way. Now, the default behavior is, so for example, if I'm typing on one of these bullet points, it would just carry on into the next line over here. Org indent mode actually not only indents paragraphs after a heading, which is, I thought, what its main function was, it'll actually indent things under the line itself. It'll keep things organized at that level of the bullet point. And also, you don't have to keep the bullet points. You can put stars or numbers on these as well. So yeah, also a lot of fun there. I like that. Yeah, I've been using org indent mode. It's a big help for writing those lists. All right, and let's proceed through onto the functions here. Now, the one I wanted to demonstrate was my favorite one here, replacing punctuation at point. This is a fun one because it's a little opinionated, I think. So if I demonstrate this, let's say I had a sentence that said, "It was amazing," and I put an exclamation point there. So now, in your opinion, what would be the best way to deal with this if I was coming back later and doing some editing and I'm going word by word, reading through, and then I decide, well, I don't want that exclamation point there anymore, and I can just type a period and it replaces it, instead of going back and deleting it and retyping what I wanted. Yes, I think most people might say that that's an unnecessary tweak. I was mostly fascinated just to see how this would be done in Emacs Lisp, and an LLM helped me write this and put that together. So it's come in handy for me probably several hundred times. I should have put in a function there to actually count how many times I used that function, just to see how many times it came in handy. So, because it's such a minor thing to go and just save yourself a few keystrokes. But that's one of the fun things in configuring Emacs, is you can get that granular with things if you want to. Here again, also something granular, but maybe a little more useful, depending on the context, is a slightly more accurate word counter. So the default word counter in Emacs would count everything from the actual paragraph text in your org document that you're going to be exporting, and also any words that are in the titles or options or anything in the comments. If you don't know about org comments, I talked about it in another video. Some people were a little surprised, or they were just unaware that you could actually have a series of comments in your document. Anything that starts with this symbol here is going to be ignored by the exporter, and basically you can put extra thoughts or ideas or comment on your document as you go through. You can leave notes for yourself, and those would be ignored. by the exporter or whatever you're going to do with this file afterward. And this function will skip over those words that are in front of that symbol there, which would denote a comment. So yeah, that's come in handy as well. It gives me a more accurate word count in my document, considering that if I'm drafting a long document, I really like to use those comments throughout there to kind of notate, see what I'm doing, and leave notes for myself of things I might want to replace or edit later. And a lot of other stuff here, configuring some completion packages, picking a good theme, using the integrated dictionary. I like that in Emacs. You can just hit that key there and you can look up a word right there. It reaches out to a dictionary server. So that's pretty helpful. And yeah, you can kind of go through here and see anything else you may be interested in. The back button functionality, I mentioned that last week in the blog post. So yeah, this is another one I'll demonstrate really quick here, doing wrapping a region. So in some cases, I may have a sentence like this. Let's do the "it was amazing" sentence. So if I'm going through and I'm editing the document and I'm kind of going sentence by sentence through it, and I might decide, well, I wanted to put that in parentheses. I can just kind of go back, highlight it. Oh, pardon. Let's do that. Control C and W, which I've mapped it to. I can put parentheses. Oh, wait, no, I can't do that because it doesn't do a closing parenthesis. So yeah, bad example. Better example, surrounding it, if I wanted to make that bold, I could put the asterisk in there and it'll put it at the beginning and the end. So yeah, again, that has been something that was useful to me as I'm going through and writing lots of articles, either for the website or for any other project. Being able to just quickly wrap a sentence and surround it with a character. If it's a single character, obviously brackets and parentheses are not going to work, but that might be some extended functionality I could work on here. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about was as I'm going through, and it's always fun to see what kind of configurations you can put into something, how much can you optimize. It can kind of be like a game, but it is okay to have aspects of your workflow that are intentionally unoptimized. It's okay if there's times and situations and contexts where you can slow down a bit, and that might actually benefit you. I was mentioning, I saw a video a while back with Scott Adams. He's the cartoonist of the famous Dilbert comic strip. And I love those videos where someone shows you their workflow and how they work and what tools they use. And he uses a Wacom tablet and Photoshop to do, a new comic strip every day for 20 or 30 something years or whatever. That's a lot of work, not only mentally difficult to come up with the jokes in the comic strip, but then actually drawing it by hand. So there were a lot of places where he optimized his process over the years, which was fun to see. A lot of stuff in Photoshop, how he set up his drawing tablet. But the thing that really impressed me, that I remembered, was there were parts of his process that were intentionally unoptimized, that he just left alone. I can't remember exactly which part of it. I think there was a part where he used certain templates for things that he had drawn, many times, where he would bring in the template, he would match it, and then kind of integrate it into the drawing. And it was this intentionally slow process, but he said he left it slow on purpose because it was kind of like a mental reset. It was kind of a break for him to stop and just kind of slow down and do something that was a little more tedious or a little more laborious, because he had saved so much time on other optimizations that it allowed him to slow down and kind of take a break. And so I always remembered that because, as you can see, I was spending a lot of time tweaking little tiny details in Emacs to save keystrokes here and there and make things faster. So it is good to take mental breaks. And there's actually a word for it. They call it strategic deceleration or micro breaks. Good things to do would be like walking and stretching. If you actually get away from the workstation, go outside and see some green. They say taking a nap is a really good one if you can fit that into your workday, because it gives your brain time to kind of solidify things and like make all those connections. Improves your memory and things like that. Even nature videos. I'm going to go into some of this in more depth in Saturday's newsletter. If you're not subscribed to it, you can do it on the website. I'll have a link down there. And I think so. Yeah, you can even in the middle of your work, if you've worked for like an hour or whatever, you can watch a nature video for 5 minutes. You can look at some shots of greenery, and apparently that does kind of the same thing. It maybe tricks your brain a little bit into thinking that you took a break and you got outside into nature. So that's pretty funny. And also leaving some of that lower intensity work in there, kind of like the Scott Adams trick. This is tied into your circadian rhythms a lot. As you notice, if you look at your energy throughout the day, you'll have spikes, peaks and valleys. And in those down moments, if you look at your schedule, you could actually schedule in stuff that is lower intensity, that really doesn't require your best mental resources, but is still productive. Things like, organizing notes or doing minor edits in a document, annotations, or it's going to depend a lot on what you're doing. But in terms of writerly tasks, these are all things that you would be doing anyway. So strategically scheduling them in at a time when you're not at your mental peak is a pretty good idea. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to go into more of that in Saturday's newsletter. But yeah, that was about it. I'll close out the video there. If you wanted to check out, I also will have a link to my Emacs for Writers Handbook. It's a free download, or it's a pay what you want. So you just put 0 if you want to do the free download. For lots of people who were kind enough to actually pay for it, thank you very much. Very kind of you. And as I mentioned before, level 2, the Emacs for Writers level 2 advanced tips and tricks, I'm still working on that. But I'll have that PDF out pretty soon. I haven't set a hard deadline yet, but I'm still kind of doing the outline and deciding what's going to be included in there. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll be having updates about that periodically. But that's about it. So yeah, I'll leave the video there. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. I'll see you all next time.